Yeah.
It was a one-time thing.
That was sadly ignorable.
This is the RichRokk Show. The RichRokk Show.
So,
Welcome to Burpcast. Something that I am definitely going to cut in post, but we're going to reference continuously for the next set of minutes.
you won't know why.
This is the RichRokk Show, the podcast that you like. I, of course, am not rich. I am ya boy. That, of course, is Rich. Also, ya boy.
All right, I want to get right into it.
Yes.
So, Josh, you are a man of incredible cinematic insights. You've said some pretty interesting things about a lot of films. Films I love, films I knew nothing about, films I even hated. Your opinions they're never seemingly out of left field. I'm always a bit impressed with the amount of credit you give people I don't think deserve.
I'm a film's half full kind of guy.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. If you wanna critique that that might somewhat legitimize your existence, whether you deserve it or not. This could be the man for you.
I thought you were talking about me. I'm like, yes, whether I deserve it or not.
So, all right, man. So, first question, because this is gonna take us someplace. I think. Most overrated actor of the last 10 years.
The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. Easy.
What?
Yeah.
You're out of your mind.
No, that's serious.
No, you're out of your mind. How is he the most overrated actor of the last 10 years?
Hold on. What did you expect me to say?
So many other people, dude. Come on, man. Come on, dude. Get shorty. He was hilarious. He was great. You think he was great in that?
Yeah, that was more than 10 years ago. You said of the last 10 years.
All right. You know what? You're fair, and that's fair. That's
Dwayne
fair.
Johnson is
That's
just
fair.
Mr. Hollywood now.
That's fair. That's okay.
Like he's all of his content is designed to make $500 million.
You think really?
Yeah, even the stuff that's terrible.
Let's go back to all right, fine. Maybe it's a little older than I think. Let's go back to Pain and Gain. I love that movie. I think that movie's hilarious.
That falls within the parameters, I believe, but it's terrible.
I think that movie's hysterical,
I
man.
hate that movie.
I thought he was good in that, dude. Come on, man.
Just because he was good in it doesn't mean it was good.
Among the many gifts that the Lord gave him, knocking somebody the fuck out was one of them. Come on. He was believable though. He was
believable.
Did you
Are
find him
you
believable?
kidding me?
Did you not find him believable?
No.
I thought he was great, man.
No. Okay. So the most unbelievable thing is the thing that they claim is the most true.
Which
grilling the hands.
Okay.
All right. They stop the movie in the middle of a scene on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson grilling some dude's hands with a cigar and a drink, and they put on screen the caption, "Remember, this is a true story." That didn't happen. That was kind of a true story. That part, totally false.
All right. My only problem with that scene was I don't think they did it well enough. I think to make that work, it should have been a left turn. I think that there should have been it should have been a little more surprising when he's grilling. And all of a sudden this weirdly sensitive man is grilling and then it becomes about the hands. I think they just kind of I don't think it was it wasn't the head in the box moment they were trying to create.
Yeah, of course.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. So
well, yeah, and
they fell short of it.
They didn't go far enough with it. And that's saying a lot considering that movie goes way too far. Like the movie's I feel so bad for Anthony Mackie for having had to
come on, man. You know he had fun in that movie.
I guarantee he did not.
Had fun. I guarantee he did not. Come on. That was fun to me.
Listen, you're talking about The Rock.
Fun.
The Rock, when he's just starting to realize that it doesn't matter what he does, he makes money. And then you're also talking about Marky Mark, who has known that no matter what he does, he'll make money for 30 years. You got poor Falcon, just trying to make a living. Didn't quite make it into, some of the more iconic roles he could have had.
Right? No.
And he's been stuck with this swill of a film.
He's been a poor choice in a couple of roles, and I don't think it's because of any lack of talent.
He's a great actor.
His part.
He's a great actor.
He really is. I don't think there's any lack of talent on his part. But I do think he's been put in some roles that they didn't really give him an opportunity to really to spread out, really do what I think that the director was after him, and I think, and that brings me to a point. I think a lot of like so many of these I don't want to call that a popcorn movie, but
It is. Is that a
Yeah,
Michael?
it
Is that a
is.
Michael Bay movie? I think that might have been a
I don't
Michael
know.
Bay movie. We're gonna look
Honestly,
it
I
up real
don't know.
quick.
I don't
We're gonna look
know.
it up real quick. Because it definitely has the feel of a Michael
But it's
Bay.
smack the movie in a lot of places smacks of like producer interference.
Michael Bay.
It smacks of
Yeah,
interference.
and again, we're talking about another person who's too big for his britches. Now, Michael Bay when he directs early in his career, unstoppable. I mean, we're talking about
It was
the
hit
first
after it
Bad
was
Boys.
hit after
The
hit
first
after
Bad
hit after
Boys,
hit after
probably
hit.
his best
It was
project.
just hits. It was good stuff.
And then by the time we get to Pain and Gain, he's done 3 Transformers, and I mean, as much as I love Bad Boys 2, it was super self-indulgent to the point where it has a fourth act where Will Smith, the Fresh Prince, invades Cuba with the help of Henry Rollins.
This film
So
also featured a corpse falling from a vehicle chase scene. We've never seen that, and it's worth mentioning. That was brilliant. Brilliant.
fair, and
It was
I
wonderfully done.
I will defend
Every
Bad Boys
thump
2.
and thought in that scene, you felt, and it made you giggle and feel guilty that you found that somehow funny.
Yeah,
That was great.
it's a great movie. It's
It
a great
is.
movie.
It really is.
But from a director standpoint, it's definitely pretty self-indulgent.
Okay.
Now, fast forward almost 10 years, because what Bad Boys 2 was like 03-ish,
Somewhere, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
Pain and Gain's like 2011, 2012.
something like that. Yeah.
Michael Bay has lost his damn mind. um, this guy is never gonna work with me, but I guess that wasn't on the table to begin with.
You know, it's probably off now.
This
It's off table now.
fans of the show will remember this is the second time I have bashed him because I'm pretty sure he wasn't
Man
a
does
key,
lambast poor Mr. Bay.
he wasn't a key member of that episode, but he's a name I dropped in directors that have way too much hype.
What do you
But
think?
I don't think that's The Rock's worst role.
Okay. All right. Next question. Favorite film of the last 5 years that would have benefited from a different director?
Ooh.
It's not the easiest question to answer.
For the last 5 years. Do you have an answer ready to go?
I wouldn't even. Well, I'll say this much. I'm not even necessarily looking to hear who you think would have been a better director. I'm very curious. With a couple of your favorite films, whose directing style you think might have lent itself better to the story, better to just better the story, better the overall delivery.
I think I'm gonna go with the easy answer and say the new Star Wars trilogy.
Damn, I was hoping you were gonna say the new Batman. Gone.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I was hoping you would say the new Batman.
No,
I want to be like,
no.
I want to be right and be like, you're wrong.
No,
So, okay.
the new Batman was
I think
so
that's
well
perfectly
directed.
done.
I think it's the best Batman movie.
I think
we've
that
got.
was okay. We're agreeing on that one.
Yeah.
I think that was the best dang thing that a Batman franchise has seen.
I would agree, and I think much like Michael Keaton, Pattinson got a lot of crap for being cast as the Bat.
Yeah.
But he did a great job. I think the
I
only
was
person
one
who did a
I
better
was one of
job.
the first people knowing nothing about his career to go, wasn't he in Twilight? That disqualifies him. I was one of the first jerks to say that crap.
No,
And
because
I meant it when I said it, and I was wrong.
I had the
He was
benefit
great.
of having seen him in The Lighthouse,
Okay.
and
Didn't see it.
The Lighthouse is not. It doesn't.
Didn't see it. Didn't look like it was aimed at me.
It's an art house film.
Yeah, it didn't look.
sure.
Did not look aimed at me.
But if you can get through some of the, because it's meant to be slow. It's supposed to draw you in and lull you in. So if you can get to the end,
I've seen clips like on YouTube.
so when you get to the end, it makes all of that worth it. And the analogies it makes are kind of gross, but it's still a fantastic film. And it deserves all the accolades it gets, and so does the Batman. I'm very much looking forward to the next one. Because I mean, Matt Reeves, the director of the new one, understands the look of Gotham better than probably anybody except Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan's Batman films are not necessarily like comic book true,
No,
but they are some of the best looking Gotham shots.
I mean,
we've ever seen.
there's some great elements taken from some of the like
Keynote
the Dark
stories,
Knight
yeah.
novels. There's things that are clearly taken from it, but no, it doesn't. It's not representative of more of the DC comic book Batman. It's really not.
Right, which
But I like that about it.
to be fair, yeah, to be fair, there was a whole story arc in like the 70s where Batman had to wear a different colored suit every single day or he was gonna die. So maybe we don't
Because he
need,
had a color allergy, like Wednesday Addams.
maybe we don't need a comic book direct Batman, but we kind of got the best of both worlds.
I think what we all want to see is we all want to see what I believe the Christian Bale Batmans did answer. What would this look like in your world? In the real world, what might this guy look like? Where do you feel the Christian Bale Batman trilogy falls short for being the best Batman series? Because there's a lot of people that are gonna. I hope a lot of people, maybe the 10 people that watch this, are gonna argue with that, and I know what their arguments are gonna be, and I kind of agree with them. I believe this latest one was a very strong film, and when I say that, what I'm saying is, I feel like it's a strong film in the sense that maybe, and people are gonna hate this, but even in the sense like The Godfather was a good movie, great storytelling. I don't mind that it is tediously dark, and I think that lent. I think that lent to the movie.
Yeah.
The fact that the dark was tedious and it was ongoing. I liked the headspace that kept me in. That being said, though, I do feel that Christian Bale though brought something to that character that I think was unique, in that you really got a sense with Christian Bale for how tortured this guy was. You got a sense that this is not going to be a good friend. You didn't want to be buddies with this guy. And I think he was the first person to portray the role that made you feel like, no, I really wouldn't want much to do with this person outside of maybe him rescuing me.
I didn't like Christian Bale as Batman, but I thought he did a fantastic Bruce Wayne. The cocky nature of a playboy billionaire philanthropist was embodied really well by two people, and that's Robert Downey Jr. and Christian Bale. However, Robert Downey Jr., because of the way that character is, because of the way Iron Man is written, is supposed to be flashy, public, and always Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne is not Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask. Batman is the character.
Yeah, he's like the Dean Martin of alter egos. Yeah.
So
he did a really good job at that.
So a guy who can do a good Bruce Wayne, fantastic, because a lot of people do him too broody. As much as I really liked the Batfleck, I felt the way that character was written was too moody. Like he's too dark.
I don't, and the reason I don't is because of what they were drawing from. They were drawing from the novels and the books that depict an older,
like the actual Dark Knight
regretful Batman, and that is what he delivered. He wasn't there to be charming. He was there to display that I don't even know how long I can do this anymore, and I know I've made some mistakes. And I think he did that. I think he did that better than anyone.
Fair.
He doesn't get the credit, but he did that part better than anybody else.
Yeah, that's I can't take that away from him. I think Ben Affleck did a great job. The problem is the writing, and that's why I was very clear about that. It was the writing. So he's written as old man Batman with young man Superman. This is bullshit, bro. All right, listen. There are multiple times where Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent have to swap places and wear each other's costumes so they can prove to their significant others that they are not a superhero. Okay? They don't look a thing alike. One's damn near 50. One looks like he's never going to age another day. Yeah. They're both big guys, but I mean, not all white people look the same. Damn it. We do, ask. But I mean, in this case, we don't. But Snyder's universe was haphazardly put together to begin with. So the projects that he touched suffered, with the exception, in my opinion, of The Man of Steel. That's a tough road to hoe, I know, but I actually liked Man of Steel.
Okay.
And I liked the Snyder cut.
Dude, I thought Man of Steel had the best, had a really good shot at bringing people into a story about the person, about Clark Kent.
Yeah.
about him, him facing shortcomings, doubt, things like that. And I thought it was beautifully done, and it was convincing. It was.
Yeah, yeah. But
I know you, and I love you, and I know when you want to move on.
yeah, so I'm gonna get back to the
Hot
initial
button.
question. I'm gonna get back to the initial question. What could have done better with a better director?
What?
The new Star Wars trilogy.
What?
Yeah, so the new Star Wars trilogy, the idea of a mystery box, yeah, that's fun. It does
I
no
didn't like
place
the
in Star Wars.
stories,
The stories,
but
were,
I thought they were well directed.
were they though?
I thought.
Were they though?
I thought. Yes.
All right. So,
I
last
never
last
felt like
Jedi.
I felt like they did some stupid things, but I didn't feel like they broke the Star Wars universe. I didn't dig. I didn't dig the Princess Leia, Mary Poppins. I didn't dig the. Oh, you just got to reach your hand up there now. See, you're master of the Force. That was stupid. I don't care how you defend it. That was dumb. Didn't like it. But I thought overall. I mean, I thought it was well directed. You know.
I don't know. And what's his name? The guy who directed Force Awakens. He also did Lost.
Nuts. Isn't it fun to watch people scratch their heads over
right,
common
you know what?
knowledge and go, "Duh."
Yeah, somebody's
Ah.
yelling at me and immediately discrediting.
There
what
was
I had to
this
say
one
now.
dude.
The
I'll
Force
entertain you with dance as he searches.
Oh, this will be interesting. The Force Awakens from its nap. No, it's not what I'm looking for.
By the way,
J.J.
eventually-
Abrams. God damn it. Okay, so an
Okay,
interesting tieback and tidbit about J.J. Abrams. Everybody gives credit for Cloverfield to J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams just produced it.
What you talking about?
The guy who directed Cloverfield directed the new Batman. That was a Matt Reeves joint. Yeah.
I hate the fact that I know that you are right about this and that I did not know that, but okay, go on.
Everybody wants to get so
For real?
yeah.
I thought J.J. Abrams. I thought that was like
J.J. Abrams is a phenomenal idea guy, which is
Right.
why the first 2-3 seasons of Lost were fantastic. Because J.J. Abrams would walk into the writing room, look at David Lindelof, and be like, "Polar bear," and leave.
That's kind of how we work, by the way. Is I'm a wonderful idea guy, but I'm like, and that's a good idea. Now you write that and make that work.
That's exactly how Funeral Stripper happened.
Yeah, that's literally how we operate. It's I got this idea that I'm really not gonna attempt to write. But you can write it.
No. Those are not the words you use. What you tell me is, I have this character. He's a piece of shit. You have to play him.
But you do them well.
See, this is the problem.
Lee Van Cleef could be Hellborn with a villain face. You're just that guy, man. Just be that guy.
Look, just
Sorry.
because I look like privilege personified. Anyway, The Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker, the first and third of the new Star Wars trilogy, terribly directed and terribly written.
So
they were written by the director.
All right, so do me a favor. Help me understand. And I'm not arguing. I'm saying help me understand as like a visual arts punchy joke guy. What were some of the shortcomings in the directing? Because what I see, and I think a lot of people probably see this way. I look and I go, oh, it was stupidly written. That was a bad idea. You're saying it wasn't the writing, it was the directing that fell short.
It's both.
Because there was so many of us that felt like this movie.
Who wrote those
really
movies?
didn't stick to a lot of like what you expect out of Star Wars, and
And this is why I argue that the directing was better. Who wrote those movies? The director. So you know that from the writer's room to the editing room, he had complete control of where those stories went. He did a halfway decent job.
Doesn't that usually produce better things though?
Not always.
But
Not always.
usually.
Look at all right. So look at the Coen Brothers. All right.
Okay.
So the Coen Brothers, you take a movie like Raising Arizona.
Best dang.
It's a great movie.
Best thing dude ever did, man. I love that movie.
Ethan and Joel write it.
That movie's so great.
And technically they direct it. But you know who is their cinematographer?
You're not gonna say Nicolas Cage.
No. Nicolas
Okay.
Cage.
I was like, what?
Nicolas Cage,
Oh.
No. It's now I'm blanking on his name. God, now I'm ruining my own credibility.
We'll fix
Roger
that
Deakins.
in post.
Nope, I will not, because I came up with it. Roger Deakins. I'm just really bad with names. I forgot his for years.
I still go
So
mom and dad, right? Yeah.
So once again, you're watching the RichRokk show with Josh and somebody, but Roger Deakins,
Okay.
probably the best cinematographer ever. Like, this guy does for cinematography what John Williams does for score.
Now, you understand when you claim anybody is the best cinematographer ever, that immediately, people like myself are going to go, oh, really? James Bond films. Sorry,
Yeah,
some of the
sure.
baddest cinematography ever, and it's a little tough to defend against that when you've got, I mean, every possible toy, trick, advantage going for you. I mean, just the location considerations alone will make that tough to beat.
Roger Deakins does more with less. He didn't switch over to digital from film until he was certain that the things he wanted to do could not be done properly on film, and they could only be done in digital.
Okay, that's cool.
So this is also a guy who Tarantino will consult on his and Tarantino has one of the best eyes for direction.
Yeah.
He knows where to put a camera.
Oh yeah.
He will ask Roger Deakins for advice.
The most obvious example, most obvious proof of what you're saying is, and it's going to sound cliche, but the most obvious proof of his ability to know where to stick the camera is it really is still Pulp Fiction, because Pulp Fiction was not nearly as, it wasn't quite as snappy action heavy as maybe say like Kill Bill, which I love the Kill Bill series. Those are great, but I think that
They're going for a style.
a lot of the ideas that he had to present in that film. Those are difficult ideas to capture. You look at a lot of these iconic scenes that we kind of take for granted because they were done so well. How would you have approached them? Like the diner scene. That the strength in the diner scene, I think, is in the cinematography. I don't think that it's, the dialog's wonderful. The dialog's a lot of fun, but I mean, don't get me wrong. But I think the cinematography was the unsung hero in that, because of the way that, just the way Ringo and Honey Bunny were shot.
Yeah.
And the way they were shot juxtaposed to Sam Jackson's almost just not caring about the situation. He was I love that they actually found a way to film it so as to speak to the fact that this man is more irritated that you interrupted an important stream of thought than he is that you pose a danger. That was genius. And I think that movie, in a lot of ways, things like that, what could have been super, super, super boring is the popping up of the briefcase. And, you know, is that it? Yeah, it's it, man. And you don't see what's in it or anything like that. He took a lot of things that I think in anybody else's hands would have been boring and distracting. And I think that I think the cinematography in a lot of it really was the unsung hero.
No,
It was
totally.
the way it was shot.
Totally. Tarantino's one of the best behind a camera.
I think
that
that movie's
always
still
gonna be true.
I can watch that movie almost any day and still be just as entertained, enthralled, challenged by, and inspired by it. And that blows me away and brings me to my next question for you, sir. 2 films that you can keep watching and keeping inspired by as a director yourself and a writer.
Dogma by Kevin Smith.
That movie's so great.
What
a weird answer, oh man.
That is my
That
favorite
is
movie
the
of all time.
weirdest answer you
Favorite
could
movie
have
of all
gave me,
time.
dude. Why? And I love that movie. I love that movie. For a lot of reasons I love that movie, but that's a weird answer, man.
Because it is the greatest showcase of a director who's directing, writing, and acting in a film who has perfected his craft from the bottom up. Like, this is years after Clerks. This is years after Mallrats. I want to say this movie came out in like 96 or 97.
It was something like that.
He knew who he was working with. So first and foremost, right up top, he takes the voice of the 90s and doesn't let her fucking speak.
Dude, and it's funny you say that, because it was nothing but Doc Martens and flannel shirts in that movie theater, dude. It was all around a block, man. It looked like a bunch of Kurt Cobain wannabes. We're all, you know.
And he's got Alanis Morissette playing God and doesn't let her speak. All right, so that's first. The foresight to do that and spin someone who's only known for her singing and not let her open her mouth.
Okay.
Except when she goes, boop.
That was pretty funny. Okay,
It's a
that's
great
a good
scene.
point.
It's a great scene. Second of all, he knows how to use his actors. He knows he has to, like, this is Chris Rock during a period of time where he's still doing a lot of stand-up. So he knows I have to give him a moment to do a tight 5. He finds the right place to put it in the script. He knows My audience is looking for a dick and fart jokes out of Jay and Silent Bob. We're gonna throw them in there. They have the poop monster, the poop demon, and then you've also got like he's been writing for Jay and Silent Bob for a long time.
Poop demon.
But then
Forget about that, dude. I haven't seen this movie. I haven't seen this movie like probably since it came out in theaters because I'm actually
love this
that
movie.
old.
I love this movie.
The Earth was still cooling. Yeah, you had to ride a dinosaur to go pick up your faxes, and I haven't seen it since. Wow, I forgot
The
about that.
anachronicity there is fantastic.
Poop monster. That was
And then
nasty.
you take two rising star actors, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and you get both comedic performances out of them and something on the level with Good Will Hunting, especially out of Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck has the speech about don't you want to go home? Don't you think it's been time? That is one of the most emotional, impactful moments in this dumb comedy about George Carlin running a church.
He's actually excellent at delivering these. He's really excellent at delivering these emotional moments without boring men.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it.
Does a great job.
Good at it.
Does a great job.
Even in movies that I think suck.
And
Even in movies that I think suck, he does a great job with that. He gets it and he does it.
And Kevin Smith, being both writer and director here, something that I aspire to, knows his writing style is very particular. Not everybody can deliver Kevin Smith dialogue.
No,
But he knows that Ben Affleck does it better than anybody.
no, and look at some Kevin Smith stuff. Take your 2-3 favorite Kevin Smith roles, and like I think that I got a pretty good ability to hold the attention of the camera. Could you see me delivering any of those lines?
No, but
Never.
I also know how difficult
Never.
it is to write for you.
Never. So I couldn't. I have a lot of respect for the guy because I'm going. I love what I just saw, and I don't think I could have delivered it. I don't think it like I'm not the guy. Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah, but you've also got a very specific delivery style. You are the type of actor who doesn't necessarily absorb a role; the role absorbs you.
That's fair. That's fair.
And so like,
and that's I attribute that to psychedelics. Back in the '90s, long time ago, but yeah.
yeah, what is what is that Mitch Hedberg? I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too.
But I used to as well.
No, all jokes aside, like you have a very particular personality. So your on-screen persona is a fixed point in time.
Yeah, it's a useful one-trick pony.
Yeah,
It's a one-trick pony, but it's a useful one-trick pony.
Well, you've got
It's a hell of a
you've
trick.
got what you're really good at, and you know what those things are. So as like I try to write to that. So this is in Kevin Smith world. Like he's not writing to Ben Affleck. He just knows Ben Affleck is good at writing what he wants to write. Whereas he has to
Actors
write
pay attention.
to.
Know your role. Know your place as actors. It helps. Know your place.
It does, because then I don't have to yell at you. I'm going to continue to answer the question because the other film is a little more traditional. Seven Samurai.
Word.
So I think Seven Samurai is one of the best directed films of all time.
That's one of the baddest films ever made, dude. I love that movie. I just watched it again. Like
It's a
I
great
kid you not,
movie.
I just watched that. I think maybe it was Tubi. It was something that had a few commercials in there, and I just watched it again.
It's such a good movie.
Because I'm always looking for ways to make animated sequences more compelling, and I'm like, hey, just steal from the best. Steal from the best. You know.
Well, and that's another
look at
example
Kurosawa.
of
Look at Clint Eastwood.
doing more with less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You steal from the best when you can. Question. Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
That is one of my Clint Eastwood.
Wait, Clint Eastwood roles or Clint Eastwood
Roles.
the person? Okay, thank you.
roles and directing. One of my absolute favorites. He's kind of come under fire a little bit lately. People are a little critical of his later efforts, and I'm not really in agreement with it. I don't really understand where it's coming from. Where do you land on Clint Eastwood, the director?
Now it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I do remember um, Gran Torino
Okay.
being a very pretty film, and I'm I'm gonna hold my tongue on the message because it's probably been 10 or 15 years since I've seen it. But then you go to films like Flags of Our Fathers. That was his, right? Flags of Our Fathers
Yes.
and
Yeah.
the Iwo Jima one,
Mhm.
the Japanese side of
Yes.
flags.
Yeah.
Um, what was Letters from Iwo Jima?
I think that thing
That
is
that
yeah.
one.
It's,
That one, I thought was the better of the two.
I
It's practically all in Japanese.
Gran Torino was one. I thought that was great. There's things about that I
It's a
love.
good looking
I
film, and I
love
think
the.
it's paced very well. But when I saw that movie, I was a fucking teenager. So like, my opinions of things really weren't developed.
I thought it spoke very well. I thought it spoke very well about the changing fabric. Well, actually, in a sense, not really so much the changing fabric, just the what makes for the ongoing fabric and tapestry of America, of our nation, and the human beings that are the story of that. We talk about these things a lot, and we tend to talk in these term in these kind of like we talk in these like these macro terms about the fabric of the country, and it's the truth of the matter is that it's made up of people, individual and collective thinking, and I think this movie spoke really well to it spoke really well to the reality of the personalities, the opinions, and the experiences that make up this fabric. And I think that the fabric of our nation is. I think that it can be described as or just identified as the personalities that clash and then find ways of working together to make what we do keep going. And I think that this movie is great because, well, it's not great because of it, but I think something that was really cool in the film was that the oft demonized, prejudicial, white male wasn't painted so ridiculously one-sided and one-dimensional, and that's something I've always had a problem with.
Yeah.
I've known more bigots in my life than I can count and shake a stick at. Many of whom became people that I actually really dearly grew fond of because I was able to look past it. Hey, that's not the whole story of you.
Yeah.
And this movie showed that that's not the whole story of a person. Is there this particular kind of a foible that plagues us? These can be nuanced people.
Yeah.
That yes, it will take time and patience to get to know. And there weren't easy answers in the film. There was one easy answer, and that was when he confronted the gang. And then he shoots him up and all that crap. But okay, they got to sell tickets. But I think the movie did a great job of that. It was one of my favorite films that he did.
Yeah, and I have to revisit it because I do think we're in a period of time culturally with a lot of our media and our celebrity where we want perfection out of our characters and our people, and understanding that there is not justifying deplorable actions, but rather understanding that there is nuance to humanity. Um, and in a story like Gran Torino, where it's an old white guy who was in the Korean War, juxtaposed against this Asian kid who lives next door.
Laotian, right? Were they Laotian?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. And the fabric of almost inner city Detroit style gang life. I think it's a valiant concept to address. I don't remember how responsibly it was done, but I do think it's something we need to talk about because we have issues in this country. Like we have issues just like as long as there's two people alive, we're gonna have fucking problems.
Yeah.
But knowing that some people are gonna change and some people are not. Some people are going to get better and some people are going to get worse. And it's going to be like that for a long, long time. It's like the hippy dippy weatherman. Things are going to continue to change for a long, long time. And finding some sort of a balance to tell a story, because you just still need to tell a story. We need to have we crave resolution of some kind, be it music, be it visual art. We need that rise and fall. Like everything about our culture is built around sonata form, which is
Yeah,
the
very true.
you establish the theme, you change the theme, you resolve the theme. Sometimes you have just weird sicko directors that make things like oh, what's that Jared Leto movie about the heroin addicts? Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
make Requiem for a Dream,
Yeah.
which is just a sickening thing to have to sit through.
yeah.
Great film. From what I can remember, I'm never gonna watch it again.
It's not like oh wow, I'm gonna
pleasant.
revisit
It's not
that. Yeah,
pleasant.
yeah. Let's watch that again. No,
But not everything can be Toy Story. And Toy Story is fantastic. I think most of the Toy Stories are fantastic. Pixar does a really good job of, killing parents. And then also,
it's the best in the business of that kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
It just is. It's
it brings emotionality the same way Don Bluth did to children's screens. Adult emotionality is much more nuanced. It has to be.
So where are we go? Where are we go? Where do you see us going right now? Where do you see us going as writers, directors, creators, content creators, and all that good stuff? What are you seeing that are what trends are you seeing, good or bad?
I think film is about to have another renaissance. For a lot of reasons.
I think so because
Yeah.
of I think the strike
Strike's a big part of it.
is making people think of different ways to approach their careers. Guys are talking about independent film
Yeah.
and getting out of the money game.
Yeah.
And that seems real.
I think
seems
the most
that seems sincere.
I'm going to end with what I think is the biggest factor here, but the writer strike is definitely a factor. The rise of studios like A24 and Blumhouse are huge.
A24.
Go A24. The rise of internet content and the ability to make things like Video Game High School on YouTube. That was 10 years ago, 11 years ago. The things we can do now, like
RichRokk.
they had that Facebook show with Jimmy Tatro. It was the Real Bros of Simi Valley.
Is that what's going on?
Uh-huh. And then you've also got to look at music. So film always changes with music. If you go all the way back to even the 50s and before that with the introduction of color and the normalization of color films, music changed into swing and blues. And those were the kind of the predominant, before rock really took over. It's swing and blues. And film took on this almost ballroom feel, where before that you had a lot of noir, you had westerns, and the original phase of westerns went out. And then you had these more personal stories. Not believable by today's standards, but they went along, they felt normal with the music that was paired to them. And then after that, the introduction of rock and roll changed film again, because now you've got a generation of revolutionary filmmakers, listening to revolutionary music. Music informs our artistic. Like, we both listen to music when we make art. Like, when I'm writing, I've got scores going and I've got music behind me. It informs how we write. And then when you get into the 70s, music changed again, and you had almost like the initial birth of metal influencing film, because now it's sex, drugs, and rock and roll has now taken drugs.
It got really syrupy though. It got syrupy. There's an awful lot of string sections.
Yes.
There was a lot of like discotheque style string section work going on.
And so there's this experimental music going along that leads into techno in the 80s. And in the 80s, we have the first real cookie cutter film style. Like, yeah, we had westerns and stuff, but that did it before that, but where across genres, you had these cookie cutters where these are the beats you hit, this is what you do, and it sounds like this. So that's why every cop movie, every war movie in the 80s, they all kind of follow this certain rise, drop, big rise, big drop, big rise.
So glad you're here because that so brings me my next point of discovery. For my money, I don't think for my money, when the question is asked, most influential film of a decade, I believe The Terminator was probably the single most influential film made since probably 1970.
I can get behind that. I can get behind that.
It's just for so many reasons. Two films that you can look at and see how the Terminator formula changed film.
Which Terminator? 1 or 2?
First.
The first one.
The first one.
Okay.
I love the second movie, but the Terminator's just...
We will start
Stands
with
alone.
music.
Okay.
So the score for the Terminator is atonal.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And it's very uneasy. Remember the mic's on the
I love that. Yeah, man, that's
Be
going to
careful.
sound very
Be
disturbing.
careful.
I love that, though. That dum, 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 dum. That's so great.
It's so atonal music for everybody out there who needs a quick refresher. It's 12-tone music. So there are 12 notes total that you can hit before they start to repeat. And atonal music uses all of them because why not?
Because they're there.
And
Yeah.
so you had the atonal rise that started before that, where music became much more mathematical on the composing side. Not necessarily pop music, but atonal music came out of nowhere. And there's like these 4 big names, and then John Cage. And John Cage is a lunatic who will go and film an empty room and be like, "That's music, but it's a movie. It's music."
I love a guy that's gonna pop a piano hood and put rocks on the strings and dun, dun, dun. That's an almost unusable sound. Let's go with it.
Yeah, John Cage
him.
he ruined a piano once.
Yeah.
And then dictated what he wrote, and he's like, "Oh, if you want to recreate it, you got to ruin another grand piano." The man hated everyone, but he also found music in everything. He's a nice guy. Like, he's a very happy person. He just makes dark music.
I love his music, man. That's one of those guys that, when you're younger, in your 20s, and you discover that music, you discover more about yourself and your what you have a taste for and tolerance for and stuff like that. And I still to this day, man. I love just playing like Frank Zappa, John Cage, Frank Zappa, John Cage, Frank Zappa, John Cage.
And at some point, they just
go
blend.
back. Yeah, man, it's cool.
So the music was a big element of it. Now, probably the other most influential element of the Terminator has to be how tightly it plays by its own rules. Because the rule book set up for time travel, for how the machine operates, it's very intentionally robotic. Like, the rules are strict because that's how the programming works. Whereas Kyle Reese, the human who comes back to the past, operates on a much more human and meaty level, where his actions are more reactionary, and at times emotional, and it provides this dichotomy between the two characters, and it changed not just sci-fi but action forever, to the point where we can draw a direct line from Everything Everywhere All at Once to the Terminator, and it's unbroken.
I feel like that movie. I feel like the Terminator was like. I feel like the Terminator was like 1980s technology and sensibility revisited robot world with Yul Brynner. In that, just this imposing, intimidating, nearly emotionless killing machine. Whereas Yul Brynner's character came off a little more malevolent.
Yeah.
And as much the Terminator was just more like, hey, it's just matter of fact.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm a program, you're in the way.
I do have one negative thing that comes out of the Terminator, though, because since James Cameron's
this is where I wanted to get
Terminator,
to.
see now I'm gonna go off the fucking handle.
And this is what I was trying to get to.
45 minutes in, Josh loses his mind.
Chew it up.
So, because of the goddamn Terminator, every sci-fi movie after that shows the future as the fucking 80s, but dirty.
Yes.
Like, yeah, we had Blade Runner, but Blade Runner was supposed to be that because it was just San Fran, Tokyo. And that's fine. Fuck it. Whatever. Sky rises, flying cars, that's great. But why does the Terminator world make it so that all my futures have to be grimy except for Back to the Future for some reason, which that should have been the grimy one because they were... You know what? I'm not going to get into it. But all of my futures are just gross.
Yes.
Do we lose the ability to take a fucking shower in the future? What happened?
Dystopian,
What
nasty. I'm guessing like waste management services aren't quite as good in the future.
We go
It's just-
backwards?
yeah.
Why? Why?
It's pretty rough.
Is this the Bronze Age collapse? What's going on? I don't like this. All right, so now, as a writer, this pisses me off because if I write a future where people are happy, people are like, nah, I can't accept that.
No. Didn't you see Metropolis? It can't be happy. Yeah.
The Matrix put itself in a box because now they can't travel past 1999 because everything looks just covered in oil. Even the orgy they have is covered in fucking motor oil. So yeah.
Yeah. That's a movie that I feel like everything after it for like the next 10, 15 years was colored by it.
The Terminator or the Matrix?
The Terminator.
Okay.
It colored it. Well, and the Matrix did the same thing.
Yeah.
The Matrix, same thing again. There was so much.
Well, the Matrix brought us, just the leather daddy of the late 90s,
Yes.
early 2000s.
Yeah.
So we have.
Yeah.
I do want to revisit this idea, but the modern American Gothic of like 97 to 2008-ish, there was just this cram all the flesh you can into leather and jump off of high places. So like if you're not wearing sunglasses, leather pants,
Yeah.
and boots, why are you on my screen?
Yeah, I don't want to see you. Yeah. It tended to it influenced more than its fair share of I didn't want to call them movies. It influences more than its fair share of Hollywood
Motion pictures.
of the machines,
The talkies.
turnouts. Yeah, it was pretty. It got pretty funny.
I will say though, and I really hope the kids have gone to bed by now. So I was 8 years old in '99. I grew up during all of this. I have certain proclivities because of the American Gothic aesthetic. Like I was hypnotized by a woman in leather crossing the street when I was 22 because
I was six when that happened.
I watched Underworld one too many times.
Yeah, women in leather. I was always.
Women in leather just does it for me, and it's she's got to look like she's probably gonna kill me. Like she might stab me, because I'm just an NPC.
That's the look.
I am not vampire material.
It's called being scare roused.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just something about being absolutely concerned for your life that this aesthetic gave me as here's one of your kinks. Here's what you're into, bro. Have fun. It's gonna get you in a lot of trouble, and
but for some good stories, it makes for some good stories and adventures.
Yeah, I mean,
And then she tried to kill me.
there was a. So as a bartender, I used to get off. Hold on, I shouldn't have ended that.
I like
sentence
how
right
that
there.
started.
Shouldn't have ended that sentence there. As a bartender, I used to get out of work at like 2:30 in the morning, and there was one bar that you and I used to go to that was the only one that was open at that time that had a Gothic night.
Yeah.
And it was like every other Saturday or something.
This would be
one Saturday a
Medusa's.
month. Yeah. R.I.P. Dave Medusa. Good dude, long hair. Or good dude, better hair maybe.
He had great hair.
Whatever.
He had fantastic hair.
But he knew he could draw a crowd with the gothic theme. Now there were certain nights where it's like, yeah, this is too much even for me, and I grew up holding
A handful
glow
of
sticks.
those.
Like, I don't do drugs, and you need drugs to be in these moments sometimes. I am far too afraid of never coming back. Like, I'm gonna be that guy who takes LSD and suddenly has war flashbacks to World War I. Like, where are you, 1912? Like, so, and for you history buffs,
That could be a
yes, I
problem.
know 1912 is not in the. You know what?
He knows the war
Fuck you.
timeline.
We'll get to it. Please no.
I assure
don't
you,
leave.
he
I
does
love
know
you.
the war's timeline.
I do know. I
assure
do
you.
know the Great War, quite well, and I think it's underused in cinema. But that's beside the point.
Totally underused in cinema. And sorry, but that about me. That gave me a great idea for discussion. Why is that war so underrepresented in film? Why have there not been more films about the First World War?
Because culturally, it was not impressed upon us. So you're a Gen Xer, right? I'm a middle millennial. My old man was a baby boomer. I'm assuming your folks were boomers. They grew up with stories of World War II and the Korean War, and they grew up during Vietnam. Like my dad almost served in Vietnam, and the reason we were fighting those wars in the first place was because of World War II.
I mean, this is like
the
the
Nazis
first.
were the big bad guy originally, and then it became Stalin.
This is like the first like mechanized war.
Well,
Why the hell is this not like? I mean, to me, it's like that. That's like wow. That's amazing stuff for stories. It's the stories about the carnage, the realities of communication, the technological advents that took place are incredible.
They are, and I think
And there's like 2 movies about it.
culturally, it was impressed upon us that World War II was more significant. Really, what I think it is people in Hollywood are just afraid of Woodrow Wilson's ghost because this guy ruined the world and no one wants to hold him accountable. Like Woodrow Wilson didn't want to go, like he didn't want to get involved in the first place. He just wanted to tell everybody what to do. So when we finally had to send soldiers over, he's like, make sure they think we're the heroes. We're not. We didn't do shit in World War I. We just kind of showed up and we're like, all right, shoot that way, and Marines are really good at that. Woodrow Wilson then hops on the scene because we've got more soldiers that survived because that's what happens when you don't enter the war until the very end. He's like, listen, because we have more dudes and more guns, we're going to dictate the terms of how this war is settled. Germany, suck my butthole. And there were lots of treaties during that period of time all over Paris and France. But for whatever reason, the Treaty of Versailles was the worst. And France really wanted to stick it to Germany. But anyway, Woodrow Wilson let it happen because he wanted to make the League of Nations where, the United States was fucking in charge of everything. And then he goes with a goddamn pizza cutter and he goes, here's the Middle East. And he just chops that shit up and he gives it away to the British. Like, why'd you cut the pieces apart if you were going to give it to the British anyway? We're not going to talk about that, I guess. And then he went to Africa, tried to do the same thing, but he realized you can't push the Africans around like that because they fight back. But the Middle East, that was already, like, we blew it up twice during the war. Nobody wants to talk about that either. We bombed the shit out of it, and then we decided because there's no people left, because we killed them all, we can decide what to do with it. Rather than being like, hey, sorry for lighting your house on fire, we knocked the house over, built an apartment complex, and charged them rent.
So we just don't have a romantic enough story in that conflict to inspire the amount of films that the Second World War has inspired.
Oh, we do though.
Well, I'm saying I feel like that there's what's missing. What are we missing that we just don't put this story to cinema very often?
The United States didn't have a big enough part of it, so we feel like if we weren't really there, it doesn't need to be told. Ron Swanson said history started in 1776. Everything before that was a mistake. You know what? That is the American way of
It
life.
kind of is because we do tend to think of things in they're significant to us. Their significance to us are their proximity to America, their involvement with with America's objectives. So we do have this kind of xenophobic. Kind of a xenophobic approach to.
If we can't whitewash it, we don't
Storytelling.
want it. Have you seen a painting of Beethoven? Beethoven was almost certainly of Moorish descent. We like him because he didn't like kings. You know what? We don't do kings in America. We do queens.
And right there, people just click away. Next thing, done. dog.
Like we don't, but
Beethoven wasn't no nigga. You know.
and I mean, technically, probably not.
No, but still.
But he was not. He didn't look like me.
Yeah.
You see that hair? You fucking kidding me, bro?
So we've talked Tarantino, we've talked Batman, we've talked First World War. We've covered a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Last question I have. Last question. Your favorite film that you wish somebody else directed, and who would you have directed?
I need some time to stall. Tell me your answer.
Okay, so one of my favorite films.
Mm-hmm.
One of my probably one of my absolute favorite films, man. And it has been called both a right-wing fantasy film. It has been called a leftist fantasy film, and that's Forrest Gump.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great movie. I thought it was wonderfully directed, and I think it'd have been a hell of a lot more interesting had Spike Lee directed it. Same concept, same actors. Make it a Spike Lee joint, dude. Come on now. Forrest Gump and Radio Raheem. You know, that'd be great, dude. But seriously, though, that's a movie. It's a film I love for a lot of reasons. But again, it's one of those where I feel like the cinematography was more the hero than anything outside of Tom Hanks' performance. I think the cinematography was the hero of the film, and I very much would love to see, if it'd be possible, to see like an AI developed recreation of that, directed by Spike Lee. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stick with Spike Lee. No, I'm kidding. I'd love to see that, and maybe that'll be a thing one day. Is you don't have to watch films any way you don't want. You'll get to customize those even and say, damn it, AI, show me this as though Robert Zemeckis had nothing to do with it. Show me this film as though it were directed by George Lucas or Josh Price. I believe that you are gonna have those options. You are gonna be able to take short stories and things like that and have the AI show me what this have felt like if so and so directed, so and so did, so and so did. And of course, you know, it'll be a bunch of it'll probably almost all invariably be a bunch of Oliver Stone remakes, because that's what we could easily imagine. Well, if Oliver Stone did this, it'd look like this.
Yeah. All right. I have a few ideas. Like, the easy answer is Gone in 60 Seconds, directed by Guy Ritchie. Because it would so easily fall into his directing style.
You can see it. Yeah.
But I think the better option is Starship Troopers, directed by Mel Brooks.
Dude, that's like the best answer I could have imagined.
Hear me out, okay?
What kind of nonsense?
So, Starship Troopers is already it's first of all, Robert Heinlein wrote the book, okay, that it's based on. And Robert Heinlein,
I'm sorry.
Problems.
I'm sorry. He wrote Ender's Game because it's based on Ender's Game.
No, it's not.
Re Ender's Game. Come on.
Ender's Game came so much later. So much later.
They went forward in time, and they found Ender's Game, and then they went back, and then they wrote that movie.
All right, so
that's a great. I think that's such a fun movie.
It's written. So Heinlein is fucking problematic, and that's why we can't seem to adapt his films without at least being a little tongue in cheek.
Okay.
So the fact that the original Starship Troopers was so tongue in cheek, like, look, they're clearly the Nazis. But you give Mel Brooks, a man of Jewish descent, and a sharp wit.
Mel Brooks Starship Troopers.
So this is...
I'd have never given that answer, dude.
You don't change the cast. You keep Doogie Howser in the movie. Okay? You keep the guy who looks like he's been in every single soap opera.
As the
main guy?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, come on,
keep
man.
all these people. You also don't change the shower. You don't take out the shower scene.
Okay.
You leave the weird like towel snapping, but like co-ed shower, but you let Mel Brooks do it, where Mel Brooks is not gonna have gratuitous nudity in his movie. What he's gonna do is there's gonna be like cantaloupes showing up for no reason, like in Austin Powers, which is not a Mel Brooks movie, but it takes its inspirations. So like whenever somebody goes to snap a towel, you know that someone's gonna walk behind that towel and be covered up, and you are just gonna be cock teased the whole time. Meanwhile, this very subtle like we live in slavery idea is being thrown under the door, and you're consuming it, don't have a stinking clue, because all you want to do is see some soldier titties. Okay? So they're having this conversation about why'd you join the army? Well, because I'm poor and it's the only way to get citizenship.
Soldier titties.
Soldier
He
titties.
said. Soldier titties.
And-
I
yeah.
don't think I've ever heard any human being say soldier titties.
Not soldier,
in my life.
soldier titty, like soldier boy.
I ain't never heard of. I've
soldier
never heard
titties.
that's wonderful.
Like
I think that's brilliant,
So-
dude.
Mel Brooks, Starship Troopers. That is the perfect pairing. If I could go back and change anything,
I don't
it'd
think-
probably ruin the time stream.
I don't think there could have been a better answer or ending to this.
All right, so if you made it this far, then you see the subscribe button. Why didn't you hit it? And don't quit it. Like marry that shit. I don't know. This
That
bit
almost
got away from
rhymed.
me.
It almost rhymed.
This bit got away from me.
That was good stuff.
I know you disagreed with me. You know how I know? You're typing your comment right now, and I'm gonna read it and argue with you.
I'm not.
Try me. Try me. I will argue with you from my personal
You
YouTube
throw
channel.
all your anger and shade and your questions at him.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. If you throw any shade at him, that's a hate crime.
It is.
If you do it towards me, that's public discourse.
I'm like a dumb unicorn, so it's really not right.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair. Subscribe to the channel. Comment. You know what? That last question was probably the best. Comment what movie should be redirected by somebody better or worse.
Love to hear it.
Like maybe you want to see Forrest Gump directed by Neil Breen.
That'd have been a different film.
Yeah, it'd have been awful, and I would love every second.
I'd say it would have been terrible, and it'd probably still be on my favorites list.
Neil Breen would have played Forrest Gump and Jenny. He
AI,
plays two characters in every one of his movies, bro.
AI, you have your orders.
Every single one of his movies.
Make this vision a reality.
Support the strikes. Go Writers Guild. Go SAG. We're behind you the whole way because eventually we would probably
100%.
like to join you.
100%.
And you're fighting for rights that we're going to be working under.
So he brings up something that's actually pretty sensitive. Well, maybe it's not sensitive to you, but it should be. American labor rights were not the whitewash story you've been given. These rights were won in blood, and I mean quite a bit of blood.
A couple of burned cities.
Do support the strike, and you can do so by reaching out to actors, directors, writers that you probably don't think you'd make their writer. You would let them know you support them. Just a simple shout, just a hey, we're behind you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the average person, that's all you've got to do to support.
It
Guys
really
like
is.
us,
It
we
really
want
is.
to make movies.
Yeah.
Like we are in the creation business, so we recognize that these people that are on the picket line that are fighting for the respect and proper treatment of our future selves, and we appreciate that. And it's a shoulders of giants situation. So we give you our support, we give you our love, and we'd
We're
send
with
you
you.
water if we could. But that said, this has been the RichRokk Show, I guess.
Something like that.
And fucking see you next week, I guess.
You're all beautiful,
Let's go eat.
except for the ugly ones.